So it's not in actuality that you're going backwards, but it really feels like that. It's almost like integration and wholeness becomes the path at a certain point along the spiritual journey. There's going to be many times along that path where you feel like you're spiraling or you feel like you're going backward. This isn't actually true. This is illusion. What you're experiencing is not regression. It may be consolidation. It may be a period of integration, and therefore it feels like nothing is happening, or it feels boring, or there's no fireworks going on. So you almost think like, oh no, am I doing something wrong or am I falling behind? But the answer is unequivocally no. Sometimes the path is not about the fireworks. It's not about the massive manifestations. It's not about the euphoric result you had from your inner work or from, your self-inquiry when the epiphany came in and everything aligned. Because so much of the work is simply presence. So much of the work is simply being wholeheartedly there with the emotion. And I'm going to tell you something. I just had this conversation with a client yesterday or the day before. So related to everything that she was saying. She's saying, okay, so, I've noticed these shifts in my experience. I noticed that I'm healing in this way, but I'm still having this energy sporadically come up now. Like this nervous system arrest energy, right? It's like maybe a fight or flight energy or a nervous system activation energy, a stress response that is reminding her so much of one of the most intense times on her journey. And it's very frightening to her system because the impulse, that memory, is indicating to her that, oh my gosh, we're going back. We're going back there. That's the impulse. And I can't even tell you how many times this has come up on my own journey. It could be any emotion that is emerging from deep within the energy and the psyche. And that emotion is so reminiscent of something in the past because it's really just a part of us, a fragment of our consciousness that's coming up to come home to the whole. Yet it's so deeply buried and suppressed within the dust for so long that, we forgot about that sensation, or we were doing everything we could to avoid that sensation, or we were trying to heal ourselves out of that sensation. But until that part fully comes back to us, until we bring that homeless part back home, that sensation is always going to remain like underneath, influencing us from underneath, manning the ship from somewhere deep beneath in the underworld of our being, right? It's in the subconscious, may not always be activated, but it's always there and it hasn't been resolved. So it's still impacting us. And from time to time, it rises to the surface. So here's what happens when you actually begin really doing the work and healing. There comes a point where you begin to expand. You begin to expand your nervous system capacity. You begin to expand your ability to hold the full spectrum of emotions. And look, this may not be like, oh, you've arrived and now you've got it all. No, everything happens incrementally and everything is a journey and a process. But eventually, there are parts of you deep within that are going to realize that, wow, you've evolved. Instead of immediately suppressing the emotion, you're working with the emotion and you can handle more consciously and intentionally. So, little by little, as you heal and as you expand and as you cultivate more trust within your system, maybe you're doing this form of reparenting or parts work, or this is just coming up as a byproduct of energy healing or somatic work, there comes a point where that survival stress and those trapped emotions have to come out. They have to lighten your load, if you will. They have to be released because they've been trapped in the tissues and in the fascia matrix for so long. When your system begins to sense that you've got this, wow, like you're really expanding into somebody who can hold more, that's when little by little, these parts are going to come up for integration. And these emotions are going to start coming up for release. No matter how many times, you consciously know this, you have to remind yourself. Because in the moment, it's going to feel like super overwhelming. It's going to feel like you're going back. It's going to feel like all of those emotions that you never wanted to feel again, and that you've now created parts of you to protect against. You still have these what are called protector parts in like IFS, internal family systems, for example, but this isn't just limited to one modality. This is just the nature of the psyche that are protecting against ever re-experiencing that pain. So here you are, strolling along with life, healing. You're noticing some shifts, you're noticing some changes, you're processing your emotions, you're making some tweaks here and there and experiencing what it's like to confront that deeper residue and material within. And all of a sudden you start to feel that doom coming up, or you start to feel that anxiety or sadness or deep apathy or powerlessness. And like your nervous system can get taken for a ride if your mental narrative is like, oh my God, something's going terribly wrong. We're in danger. This is a threat. We're regressing. Depending on the program or the reaction, narrative, and the story of the mind, and your ability to be like that point of wholeness and unity, and that wise sense of self, true self, source self, whatever you want to call it, to sort of support the process of integration. Or if you don't consciously know that there's going to be emotions coming up and there's going to be releases, and that doesn't mean failure. You can go down many rabbit holes mentally, and at a certain degree, that can almost serve to re-traumatize you. Because instead of processing, you might be getting into like an emotional intellectualization loop, or you might be half processing and then getting flooded and overwhelmed and then dissociating. These deeper emotions and this deeper material arises. And that doesn't mean failure. That doesn't mean anything has gone wrong. It is actually a sign of your own progression. It is actually a sign that these deeper, more subconscious parts of you are trusting you with this energy. It is your fascia in your body really registering and recognizing that you can hold this. And it just needs to be processed. A part of you just needs to be held and supported. That's all. But if we look at it like a calamity, then that part of you that is bringing forth that emotion just gets rejected again. It just gets abandoned and banished into the dust again, which only perpetuates the cycle of the trauma. So the moral of the story is to be with your emotions and to know that when you're doing any type of healing work, the releases are going to come. Don't have to be scared off by this process. And it is completely and totally okay to get knocked off your pivot a couple times, as long as you can bring yourself back. Support all of you into wholeness. If something is coming up, that's just you. That's you. It's all you. And every little part of you is just as worthy. It's just as valid. It matters just as much. And I want you to reframe this entire mental cycle and thought process in your head to, instead of regressing, I am expanding. And that is not linear. That does not happen in a straight line. So there's going to be a lot of zigzags, a lot of ups and dips and downs and all over the place, but you're not rewinding, you're not going backward, you're actually merging and fusing and unifying and coming into wholeness, which looks like all of the above. It looks like the pain and the tears and the joy and the harmony, the euphoria, and also the moments where you might be sobbing on the floor sometimes, just releasing. You might be shaking it out of your body. You might be having somebody hold you through a release. But it's the end result when you're sitting there in the stillness of your own wholeness and you're able to navigate life and operate in different arenas and to hold your state of being throughout all of those. That is so worth it. Those emotions, they are not the enemy. They are not regression or failure. And you are so worthy of all of it. All of it.